Hey guys, long time no see. Today's video is going to be a little different today. On Twitter, I asked you guys, what makes a machinima? And you all had very insightful opinions on that. But why do I ask, you ask? Well, I'll tell you. In the summer of last year, I was perusing the good old Bird app when I came across this video posted by a fellow machinimist. It was a concept video for a series using ultra 3D graphics with Mario 64 characters green screened in, but it was more impressive than you might think. In fact, it was even phenomenal, and it made me realize just how far we've come with this genre of machinima over the years. But is it really machinima? To understand the question more, we really have to ask ourselves, what is machinima? What's the definition? The definition of the word has blurred over the years, but I believe that the most popular opinion is that machinima is defined as the use of real-time computer graphics to create a cinematic production. In most cases, video game engines like Halo, Half-Life 2, Smash Brothers, Mario 64, the list goes on. In the early years of machinima, this was executed by recording gameplay footage and stitching it together and dubbing over it to make a story. This was the most basic way to make machinima, but the way to make machinima has definitely changed over the years. For as long as machinimas existed, the bar has been raised higher and higher in terms of production quality that it's starting to become indiscernible between machinima and full-blown animation. With programs such as Source Filmmaker and Blender and other animation software on the rise and easily attainable, the lines between machinima and animation are starting to blur, especially when you still use video games as a medium for storytelling. So what do we consider machinima or not machinima? Let's say for tradition's sake, one of the defining factors of machinima is using a video game to make it. In the early years, machinima was made using mostly the video game itself, before technological advancements and new softwares allowed us to expand our horizons of creativity to break through the limitations that game engine had. In fact, I believe that was the pinnacle experience of making machinima, was overcoming those limitations in order to make that machinima be its greatest potential. Examples include modding the game engine and recoloring wall textures to make pseudo green screens, or manipulating the in-game camera to get better cinematic angles. And if it wasn't clear where I was pulling those examples from, then Mario 64 is actually a prime example of breaking limitations with the game engine. It doesn't even have a theater mode like Halo, and even then Halo had its limitations, and it was more flexible than Mario 64. So do limitations and using creativity to overcome those limitations define machinima? What if you removed all those limitations and you still used your preferred game engine? Like Source Filmmaker, for example. Source Filmmaker uses all in-game assets, and it comes with its own animation tool with little to no limitations. Is it still machinima? What if you took assets from the video game and built stages and animated everything around it with Blender or Maya? Is that still machinima, or is it animation? Like the example I mentioned in the beginning of the video with the Ultra 3D intro with Mario characters green screened in. The chroma keyed Marios were still from Mario 64, but placed in a completely computer generated world. Is that still machinima? Or are we basically just crossbreeding now? Should we start calling this machinimation? I'm actually down for that. Did I just make that up? I'm calling dibs on that. Nonetheless, machinima was always a great medium for storytelling, especially if you didn't have all the resources that a regular filmmaker would. I would even go as far as to say that machinima was my gateway into filmmaking. While I didn't pursue it professionally, it did give me a great deal of experience with video editing, storytelling, and being a creator in general. It's also helped me meet a lot of other talented people who got their start the same way. Maybe defining machinima isn't so cut and dry. Maybe machinima was just the friends we made along the way. What's your opinion? How do you define machinima? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, guys, I'll see you in the next video.